Drummerly.com Unlimited Drama Series.
The invitation sat on my desk like a loaded gun. Cream cardstock, gold lettering, Claire's perfect calligraphy announcing our wedding in 6 weeks. Beneath it, her handwritten note, I invited Graham. If you really loved me, you'd understand. Graham, her ex-boyfriend, the man she'd dated for 3 years before me, the man whose name still made her eyes light up at parties when someone mentioned him, the man she swore meant nothing anymore. I understood it all right. I understood perfectly. My name is Jack Landon, and I'm an IT consultant. I solve problems for a living. Network security, data breaches, system vulnerabilities. I find holes in defenses and patch them. Or exploit them, depending on which side I'm working for. Claire never quite grasped what I did for a living. To her family, I was the computer guy, a necessary evil in their daughter's life, someone who couldn't possibly understand their world of country clubs and charity galas. Claire Montgomery came from old money, the kind that doesn't talk about money because everyone already knows you have it. Her mother, Evelyn, had made it clear from day one that I wasn't quite what she'd envisioned for her daughter. But Claire had been charming, vivacious, and I'd fallen for her despite the red flags I should have seen. You're overthinking this, my best friend Mike said, cracking open a beer in my loft apartment. Mike was a mechanic, the kind of guy who said what he meant and meant what he said. We'd been friends since high school, back when neither of us had money or pretensions. She invited her ex to your wedding. That's insane. She says it's about closure, showing him she's moved on. By inviting him to watch her marry someone else? Mike shook his head. Man, that's not closure, man. That's something else. I picked up my phone and opened Claire's Instagram. There it was, a photo from 2 days ago. Claire and her bridesmaids at some wine bar downtown, and in the background, barely visible but unmistakable, Graham Foster. Tall, confident, that same smug smile I remembered from the one time we'd met at a charity event. I need you to do me a favor, I said to Mike. Anything, buddy. Help me follow someone. Mike grinned. Now we're talking. Graham Foster lived in a tasteful suburban home about 20 minutes from the city, the kind of place with a 2-car garage and a lawn service. According to his LinkedIn profile, he worked in commercial real estate, pulling in a comfortable 6 figures. According to his Facebook relationship status, which took some digging to find since his privacy settings were tight, he was married. Married. Well, that's interesting, Mike said from the passenger seat of my car. We were parked down the street watching Graham's house on a Thursday evening. Think Claire knows? I think Claire knows exactly what she's doing. We watched as Graham emerged from his house at 7:30, dressed in business casual, and drove off in a BMW. Mike and I followed at a distance. He didn't go to a bar or a restaurant. He went to a hotel downtown, the Riverside Inn, one of the nicer places in the city. Could be a business meeting, Mike offered. At 8 o'clock at night, at a hotel? We waited in the parking lot. 20 minutes later, a woman arrived. Not Claire. This woman was older, professional-looking, with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She walked into the hotel with purpose, checking her phone. His wife, Mike asked. Let's find out. I'd already done my homework. Graham's wife was Melissa Foster, 32, worked as a marketing director for a pharmaceutical company. Smart, ambitious, and according to her social media, completely unaware that her husband was meeting other women at hotels. Or was she? The next morning, I did something I'd been considering for days. I created a burner email account and sent Melissa Foster a message. Your husband has been invited to my wedding. I thought you might like to attend as well. After all, you should know what your husband does when he says he's working late. I included screenshots of Graham's text messages to Claire, messages I'd found on Claire's laptop when she'd left it unlocked one evening. Messages that made it very clear their relationship hadn't ended when she'd started dating me. The response came within an hour. We should talk. Coffee? Melissa Foster was not what I expected. She was composed, articulate, and absolutely furious beneath a veneer of perfect calm. We met at a quiet cafe on the edge of town, away from anywhere we might be recognized. How long have you known? She asked, stirring her latte with mechanical precision. Suspected for a few weeks, confirmed yesterday, and you're still going through with the wedding? That depends, I said, on what you want to do about this. Melissa's smile was cold and calculated. I want to destroy him. Professionally, socially, completely. I want him to understand what it feels like to be humiliated. Then we have the same goal. We talked for 2 hours. Melissa had suspected Graham's infidelity for months, but hadn't been able to prove it. She'd hired a private investigator who documented several meetings between Graham and Claire over the past year. Dinners, hotel visits, even a weekend trip to Vermont that Graham had claimed was a business conference. Why haven't you divorced him already? I asked. Because I wanted evidence. Because I wanted to make sure he couldn't weasel out of it with some story about how I was paranoid or jealous. And because, she paused, her composure cracking slightly. Because I wanted him to feel what I felt. That moment when everything you thought was real turns out to be a lie. The rehearsal dinner's in 2 weeks, I said, at the boathouse downtown. Friday night, 7 o'clock. You should come as my guest. Won't that seem suspicious? I'm inviting Graham's wife to my rehearsal dinner because Claire invited her ex-boyfriend to my wedding. It's only fair, don't you think? Melissa's smile widened. I think we're going to get along very well, Jack. The next 2 weeks were a masterclass in deception. I played the perfect groom-to-be, attending cake tastings and seating chart discussions with Claire and her mother. I smiled through Evelyn's passive-aggressive comments about my suit choice and my family's modest contribution to the wedding expenses. I nodded along when Claire insisted on adding more people to the guest list. People I'd never met, people from her world that I'd never quite fit into. And every night I gathered evidence. Claire had a burner phone. I found it tucked in her gym bag, hidden beneath yoga pants and protein powder. The messages between her and Graham were explicit, detailed, and damning. They'd been planning a reunion for the wedding night, a private suite at the venue, a chance to remember old times, while I presumably drank with my groomsmen. I can't believe you're marrying him, Graham had written. You deserve better. It's complicated, Claire had responded. Jack is stable, safe. But God, I miss you. After the wedding, we should talk about us. Really talk. I'd like that. I forwarded everything to Melissa. She forwarded everything to her lawyer. Mike came over the night before the rehearsal dinner with pizza and beer. You sure about this? He asked. Once you pull this trigger, there's no going back. I'm sure. She's gonna hate you. She already doesn't respect me. I'd rather be hated than pitied. Her family's gonna come after you. Let them. I've got documentation of everything. Text messages, emails, hotel receipts I pulled from her credit card statements. She wanted to play games, Mike. I'm just better at them than she is. Mike raised his beer. To revenge, then. To truth, I corrected. Revenge is just a side effect. The boathouse was packed for the rehearsal dinner. Claire's family had insisted on inviting 50 people to what was supposed to be an intimate gathering. The room buzzed with conversation, clinking glasses, and the kind of forced laughter that comes from people who don't really like each other, but are pretending for the sake of appearances. Claire looked stunning in a pale blue dress, her blonde hair perfectly styled, playing the role of blushing bride-to-be. Her mother, Evelyn, held court near the bar, surrounded by her society friends, occasionally glancing my way with thinly veiled disappointment. Graham arrived at 7:30, fashionably late, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my car payment. He made his rounds, shaking hands, kissing cheeks, playing the charming ex-boyfriend who was mature enough to attend his former girlfriend's wedding events. I watched him work the room and felt nothing but contempt. At 8 o'clock, I texted Melissa, now. She arrived 10 minutes later and the room went quiet. Melissa Foster was striking, tall, confident, wearing a black cocktail dress that commanded attention. She walked straight to me, ignoring the confused stares, and kissed my cheek. Jack, darling, she said loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. Thank you so much for the invitation. I wouldn't have missed this for the world. Claire's face went white. Graham across the room froze, with a champagne flute halfway to his lips. Everyone, I announced, raising my voice. I'd like to introduce Melissa Foster, Graham's wife. The silence was deafening. Evelyn recovered first, her social training kicking in. How lovely to meet you, Melissa. We weren't expecting— I'm sure you weren't, Melissa said smoothly. But when Jack told me that Graham had been invited, I simply had to come. After all, if we're all going to be such good friends, we should get to know each other, don't you think? Claire tried to intercept me as I led Melissa to the bar. Jack, what are you doing? Making sure all our guests feel welcome, I said. You invited Graham, I invited his wife. Seems fair. This is insane. You're embarrassing me. Am I? I thought you wanted Graham here. I thought you wanted closure. Her eyes flashed with anger, but we were in public, surrounded by guests. She couldn't make a scene. Not yet. Graham approached, his usual confidence slightly shaken. Melissa, what are you doing here? Supporting my husband's friendship with his ex-girlfriend, Melissa said sweetly. Isn't that what spouses do? Support each other? We should talk, privately. Oh, I think we're past private conversations, don't you? Melissa pulled out her phone. I've been doing some interesting reading lately. Text messages, actually. Very enlightening. Graham's face went red. You went through my phone? Actually, Jack provided the screenshots. From Claire's burner phone. You remember the one she keeps in her gym bag? The nearby guests were starting to stare. Claire's bridesmaid, Lila, had her phone out, probably texting the other bridesmaids. The gossip mill was already churning. I think it's time for a toast, I said, picking up a glass of champagne. To honesty, to truth, and to making sure everyone knows exactly who they're celebrating. Mike appeared at my elbow, grinning like a wolf. This is better than cable. Melissa raised her glass. To new friendships and to honest marriages. May we all be lucky enough to have partners who are faithful, trustworthy, and transparent about their relationships with their exes. The room was watching now. Evelyn looked horrified. Claire's father, Richard, was making his way toward us through the crowd. Graham looked like he wanted to disappear through the floor. Jack, Richard said quietly, perhaps we should discuss this outside. Discuss what? The fact that your daughter has been sleeping with her ex-boyfriend for the past year? The fact that she's been planning to hook up with him on our wedding night? I think that's something everyone should know, don't you? You're making a scene. No, Richard, I'm making a point. There's a difference. Claire grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. Stop this. Right now. Or what? You'll call off the wedding. Please do. Save me the trouble. Her eyes filled with tears. The practiced tears she'd used on me before. The ones that made me feel guilty for questioning her. But I was done feeling guilty. You went through my things, she hissed. That's a violation of privacy. You invited your lover to our wedding? That's a violation of our relationship. I'd say we're even, except we're not. Not yet. Graham tried to leave, but Melissa blocked his path. Where are you going, honey? The party's just getting started. I don't have to listen to this. Actually, you do. Because if you leave now, I'm sending these screenshots to your boss, and your business partners, and everyone on your contact list. So sit down, smile, and pretend you're having a good time, just like I've been doing for the past 6 months. The rehearsal dinner devolved into chaos. Half the guests left early, unwilling to be part of the drama. The other half stayed, phones out, documenting everything for social media. Lila was live streaming from the bathroom. Claire's mother tried to salvage the situation by making announcements about the wedding schedule, but no one was listening. Claire cornered me near the exit. You've ruined everything. I've revealed everything. There's a difference. My mother will never forgive you. I don't need her forgiveness. I need my dignity back. What about the wedding? What about all the planning, all the money? What about it? You can marry Graham if you want. I'm sure he'd love that. Oh, wait. He's already married. I walked out into the parking lot, Mike and Melissa following. Behind us, the boathouse was in chaos. Raised voices crying, the sound of glass breaking. That went well, Mike said. That was just the opening act, I replied. The real show is tomorrow. Graham found me in the parking garage an hour later. I'd been expecting him. Melissa had texted me that he'd left the boathouse in a rage, and I knew his type. Men like Graham needed to feel in control, needed to have the last word. "You son of a bitch," he said, striding toward me. "You think you're clever. I think I'm thorough. There's a difference. You humiliated my wife. You humiliated Claire. For what? Some petty revenge? Petty? You've been sleeping with my fiancée for a year. You were planning to sleep with her on my wedding night. In what universe is that petty?" Graham got in my face close enough that I could smell the whiskey on his breath. "Claire never loved you. You were a placeholder, a safe option while she figured out what she really wanted. And what she really wanted was you. A married man who sneaks around hotels and lies to his wife?" He shoved me, hard enough that I stumbled back against my car.
She left this in your apron. You didn't even throw it away.
I forgot.
You forgot a woman's lipstick in your...
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
You don't know anything about us. I know everything about you, Graham. I know your business is struggling. I know you've been using company funds for your hotel visits. I know your partners have been asking questions about discrepancies in the accounts. His face went pale. How do you... I'm an IT consultant. I specialize in finding vulnerabilities in systems. Your company's network security is a joke. It took me 20 minutes to access your financial records. That's illegal. So is embezzlement. So is fraud. So is using company credit cards for personal expenses. Want to compare notes with the police? Graham took a step back, his bravado crumbling. What do you want? I want you at the wedding tomorrow. I want you to watch as everything falls apart, and then I want you to disappear from Claire's life permanently. No calls, no texts, no contact. If you don't, those financial records go to your business partners and the district attorney. You're insane. I'm thorough. There's a difference. I got in my car and drove away, leaving Graham standing in the parking garage, his perfect life cracking around him. The wedding day arrived with crystalline clarity, blue skies, gentle breeze, perfect weather for a riverside ceremony. The venue was stunning, all white tents and string lights, flowers everywhere, exactly the kind of elegant affair that Claire and her mother had planned. I arrived early with Mike, both of us in our tuxedos, playing our roles. The groomsmen were confused about the previous night's drama. I'd kept them mostly in the dark, just told them there had been some tension with Claire's family. They assumed it was normal pre-wedding jitters. Claire's bridesmaids were less forgiving. Lila and her crew gave me cold stares as they passed. Whispering behind their hands, the gossip had spread overnight. Social media was on fire with speculation about what had happened at the rehearsal dinner. Melissa arrived at noon, dressed impeccably, playing the role of concerned friend. She'd spent the morning sending carefully worded messages to Graham's business partners, asking innocent questions about financial discrepancies. The seeds of doubt were planted. Claire's mother tried to have me removed from the guest list, Melissa told me. I explained that I was your guest, and that if I left, I'd be happy to explain to everyone why. Did she back down? She's terrified of a scene. People like Evelyn care more about appearances than truth. The guests began arriving at 1 o'clock. 200 people, all dressed in their finest, all pretending they hadn't seen the social media posts or heard the rumors. Claire's family friends, my co-workers, distant relatives, everyone playing their part in the charade. Graham arrived at 1:30, looking haggard. Melissa intercepted him at the entrance. "Smile, honey," she said loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "We're celebrating love today. Eternal, faithful, honest love." The ceremony was scheduled for 2 o'clock. I stood at the altar with the officiant, Mike beside me as best man, watching the guests take their seats. The string quartet played softly. Everything was perfect, exactly as planned. Except it wasn't. At 1:45, Claire's father found me in the groom's ready room. Richard Montgomery looked 10 years older than he had the day before, his usual confidence replaced by exhaustion. "We need to talk," he said. "I'm getting married in 15 minutes. Are you? Because Claire's in her dressing room refusing to come out. That sounds like a Claire problem. Jack, please." Whatever happened between you two, whatever this is about, can't we handle it privately, after the wedding? You mean, can I pretend everything's fine, marry your daughter, and then quietly divorce her in a few months while you save face with your friends? I mean, can you be reasonable? I've been reasonable for 2 years, Richard. I've been patient while your wife criticized everything about me. I've been understanding while Claire treated me like a convenient option. I've been accommodating while she carried on an affair with her ex-boyfriend. I'm done being reasonable. What do you want? I want honesty. I want Claire to stand up in front of all these people and admit what she's been doing. I want Graham to explain to his wife why he's been embezzling from his company to pay for hotel rooms. I want everyone here to understand exactly what kind of marriage they came to celebrate. That's not going to happen. Then, there's not going to be a wedding. At 2 o'clock, the guests were restless. At 2:15, they were confused. At 2:30, Evelyn Montgomery made an announcement that there would be a short delay, that the bride needed a few more minutes. At 2:45, I walked out to the assembled guests and took the microphone. Thank you all for coming, I said. I know you've been waiting and I appreciate your patience. Before we begin, I think there are some things that need to be said, some truths that need to be shared. Evelyn tried to stop me, but Mike intercepted her, gently but firmly keeping her away from the microphone. Claire and I met 3 years ago, I continued. She was charming, beautiful, everything I thought I wanted. But over time, I realized that what we had wasn't a relationship. It was a performance, a show for her friends, her family, her social circle, and I was just a supporting actor. The guests were silent, riveted. Some of you know that Claire invited her ex-boyfriend to this wedding, Graham Foster. He's here today, sitting in the third row with his wife, Melissa. What you might not know is that Claire and Graham have been having an affair for the past year. That they've been meeting at hotels, exchanging explicit messages, planning a reunion for tonight while I celebrated with my groomsmen. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones came out. Lila's live stream counter was climbing. I found out about this 3 weeks ago, I said, and I could have called off the wedding then, but I wanted everyone here to understand what they were celebrating. I wanted you all to see the truth. Claire emerged from the bridal suite, still in her wedding dress, her makeup streaked with tears. Jack, stop, please. Why? Because I'm embarrassing you? Because I'm ruining your perfect day? You ruined our relationship, Claire. I'm just making sure everyone knows it. Graham stood up, his face red. This is insane. I can't what? Tell the truth? Expose your affair? Mention that you've been stealing from your company to fund your hotel visits? Sit down, Graham. You've done enough damage. Melissa stood up beside her husband, holding her phone. Actually, I have something to share too. These are text messages between my husband and Claire. Messages where they discuss their relationship, their plans, their complete disregard for anyone else's feelings. I'm happy to read them aloud if anyone's interested. Please don't, Graham said quietly. Why not? You weren't concerned about my feelings when you were sending them. Why should I be concerned about yours now? Evelyn finally broke free from Mike and rushed to the microphone. This is completely inappropriate. Everyone, please, there's been a misunderstanding. There's been no misunderstanding, I said. Your daughter has been cheating on me. Her ex-boyfriend has been embezzling from his company. These are facts, not misunderstandings, and everyone here deserves to know what kind of marriage they came to witness. Claire collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Her bridesmaids rushed to her side, but even they looked shocked by the revelations. The guests were in chaos, some leaving, some staying, to watch the drama unfold, all of them talking, texting, recording. Richard approached me, his voice low and dangerous. You've destroyed my daughter's reputation. She destroyed it herself. I just made sure everyone knew about it. What do you want? Money? We can pay you to keep quiet about this. I don't want your money, Richard. I never did. I wanted respect. I wanted honesty. I wanted a real relationship with your daughter. But she was never capable of that, was she? Because you raised her to believe that appearances matter more than truth. That image is more important than character. Get out, Evelyn hissed. Get out of here right now. Gladly, but first, I turned back to the microphone. The wedding is off, obviously. Please enjoy the reception. The food's already paid for, and it would be a shame to waste it. Claire's parents will be happy to host you all. I'm sure they'll have a wonderful time explaining what happened here today. I walked down the aisle, Mike and Melissa following. Behind us, the venue erupted in noise, shouting, crying, the chaos of 200 people trying to process what they'd just witnessed. That was brutal, Mike said as we reached the parking lot. That was necessary, I replied. Melissa touched my arm. Thank you for giving me the courage to do this. Thank you for helping me expose the truth. What are you going to do now? Honestly, I have no idea. But it's going to be on my terms, not anyone else's. The aftermath was predictable. Claire's family threatened to sue me for emotional distress. But their lawyer pointed out that everything I'd said was true and documented. Graham's business partners launched an investigation into his finances, and he was quietly forced out of the company within a week. Melissa filed for divorce, citing adultery and financial deception. Claire tried to contact me several times. Tearful voicemails, apologetic texts, messages from her friends asking me to reconsider. I blocked them all. There was nothing left to say. The story went viral, of course. Someone at the wedding had recorded my speech and posted it online. Within days, I was internet famous, the groom who exposed his cheating fiancée at the altar. Some people called me a hero. Others called me cruel. I didn't care about either label. 3 weeks later, I was in my apartment, packing up the last of Claire's things to return to her, when Mike showed up with beer and pizza. You're all over the news again, he said. Some talk show wants you to appear and tell your story. Not interested. They're offering money. Still not interested. Mike settled onto my couch, opening a beer. So what now? You going to date again? Try to find someone who's not a complete nightmare? Eventually. Right now, I'm just enjoying being honest. No more pretending, no more playing a role to make someone else's family happy. Just me, being myself. That's surprisingly healthy. I learned something from all this, I said. People will treat you however you allow them to treat you. I let Claire and her family make me feel small because I wanted to fit into their world. But their world was built on lies and appearances. I'd rather be alone than live like that. You're not alone, Mike said. You've got me. And Melissa, apparently. She texted me asking if you were okay. She's a good person. She deserved better than Graham. You both did. We sat in silence for a while, drinking beer and watching the sun set over the city. My phone buzzed with another notification. Probably another interview request or message from someone who'd seen the video. I ignored it. You know what the best part is? I said finally. What's that? I'm free, completely, totally free. No more wedding planning, no more dealing with Evelyn's passive-aggressive comments, no more pretending to be someone I'm not. It's just me now. And that's enough. Mike raised his beer. To freedom, then. To truth, I corrected. Freedom's just a side effect. 6 months later, I ran into Claire at a coffee shop downtown. She looked different, thinner, tired. Her usual confidence dimmed. She saw me and hesitated, clearly debating whether to approach. Jack, she said finally, can we talk? I don't think that's a good idea. Please, just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We sat at a corner table, awkward and distant. Two people who used to share a life now strangers to each other. I wanted to apologize, Claire said, for everything. You were right about all of it, about me, about Graham, about my family. I was selfish and cruel, and you didn't deserve that. No, I didn't. I've been in therapy, trying to understand why I did what I did, why I couldn't just be honest with you. And what did you learn? That I was afraid. Afraid of being alone, afraid of disappointing my parents, afraid of choosing wrong. So I tried to keep everyone happy, you, Graham, my family, and I ended up hurting everyone instead. That's very self-aware. I know it doesn't change anything. I know you hate me. I don't hate you, Claire. I just don't trust you. And without trust, there's nothing to build on. She nodded, tears in her eyes. I know, I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, and that you were right to do what you did. I needed to face consequences for my actions. What about Graham? He's getting divorced, lost his job. Last I heard, he moved back in with his parents. We don't talk anymore. Good. Are you seeing anyone? That's none of your business. Right, of course. She stood up, gathering her things. I should go. Thank you for listening. Claire? Yes? I hope you figure things out. I hope you learn to be honest with yourself and the people around you. Not for me, for you. She smiled sadly. Thank you. That's more grace than I deserve. I watched her leave, feeling nothing but relief. That chapter of my life was closed permanently. Whatever came next would be built on honesty and self-respect, not appearances and social expectations. My phone buzzed. A text from Melissa. Coffee this week? I have news. I smiled and typed back, sure, looking forward to it. Life moved forward. It always did. But now it moved on my terms, in my direction, with people who valued truth over performance. And that, I realized, was the real revenge. Not destroying Claire or Graham, but building something better without them. Something real. Something honest. Something mine. The coffee shop door opened, bringing in a gust of autumn air and new possibilities. I finished my coffee, left a tip, and walked out into the city, ready for whatever came next. No more performances, no more pretending. Just truth, consequences, and the freedom that came from living authentically. It was enough. It was more than enough. It was everything.